Alright, it should be fine.
All right.
Let's start
I
then.
guess I'll get started now. The very first thing that I want to say is I want to clear up. There's often a little bit of confusion between arrays and lists. So arrays and lists are often used interchangeably when speaking with Python. In other languages, they are not the same. So I forget, but I believe arrays have a limited size. So in Python, we can make lists of items. For example, let's make a variable x. And inside of x, I'm going to store a list. And in Python, we show lists with square brackets. And this is a list of 1, 2, 3, separated by commas. Arrays, you have a fixed size. So even though they're often called arrays in Python, they're not technically arrays. So I'm just going to be calling them lists for this. So I'm just letting you know that at the start. So these lists are quite useful because it's almost as though we had a bunch of variables like x1, x2, and x3, except they're all bundled into one. So these are two very similar blocks of code, but there are lots of situations where this is a terrible idea. So don't copy me. Don't do this. I guess I'll talk about the three main things that we do with lists. So the first thing that we can do with lists is access the items. So we have x, and we can print x if we want to. Wait. We can print x, and that gives us 1, 2, 3, just like it shows up here. But if we want, say, just the first item of x, so we just want this 1 here, then we do that using what's called the index of that item. So indexes in programming languages start at 0. So instead of counting the first item, the second item, the third item, we would count 0, 1, 2. So this is the 0th item. This is the first item, the second item. And we can access the 0th item by doing square brackets 0. So then this will give us just 0. And that works for all of the other indexes as well. That gives us 1, and that gives us 2. So if we try to access something that's not within the size of the list, say the 100th element, this will not work. It'll say list index out of range. So I have to be careful about that. The second main thing that we use lists for is storing data in them. And we figured out how to pull the data, but now we need to figure out how to add data after creating the list. So we have our list of 0, 1, and 2. I'll go over a slightly more practical example of this in a minute. But we have 0, 1, 2. What if I wanted to add 3 at the end of it? Then I could do x dot append 3. And this will insert at the end of the list the item 3. So now if I print x, it gives me 0, 1, 2, 3. And there are a bunch of different things you can do with lists. There's dot append, pop, remove. I think there's sort. Like there are a bunch of different methods you can call using lists. The two that I'm going to be talking about today primarily are append and remove. Remove, you can put in an item and it'll take out that item. So if I wanted to remove 1 from this list, as you might expect, that will remove 1 from the list. And it ends up with just a list with 0 and 2.
Can I also add that the remove function removes all instances of that one number?
Yes,
if I recall correctly.
I
Yeah, and that's really important because
you
have to keep that in mind in case future
let's
things.
try this again. No, that's
it doesn't?
not correct. It just gets rid of 1, I guess.
Oh, maybe not then. Maybe it was a different function. But I had another thing I want to add. Right, when you're printing the indexes, you could also go into the negatives.
Yeah.
Remember?
So in this good point there. So let's say we have a list with a bunch of items in it.
Mm-hmm. And like, say you wanted to get the last item from that, right?
Yeah. So say you want the last item plus the second last item, and print that. That we can use -1 to show the last item, and -2 to show the second last item, and so on, all the way up until negative however large the list is. And notice that this doesn't start at 0. So it's this is 0, then it sort of loops over to -1 on the other side. So then this would give us 92. Oh wait, there we go. This will give us 92.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's a cool trick if you want. It's especially important if you don't know how long the actual list is, but you want to remove the last item. You can just do -1. You don't have to try to find the length.
Yeah.
I mean, you could find the length. It's pretty easy. You can just do. There's a function for that.
I can actually show that if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Print len of x. I'm just giving spaces so it's a bit clearer what I'm. This will then give us the length. Now, there's a lot to remember with programming languages in general, and so I will reiterate: Stack Overflow is your friend. Okay, you just look it up if you don't remember how to do it. And unfortunately, you cannot use Stack Overflow during a lot of competitions, but you can certainly use it while you're learning.
One more thing I want to add: when you print the length of a list, I think it gives you the number of items in that list and not the end of the range. So you have to remember that Python actually starts counting from 0. So the last index would actually be the length -1.
So if I do this, this is not going to work because the length is 10, but the last item has an index of 9.
Yep.
So it says list index out of range. I'll have to do -1.
Yeah, exactly.
2. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Now let's do a little bit of an example. Let's say I am the owner of a dog daycare. Okay, and I've got a bunch of dogs. My dogs, their names are Fluffy, Noodle, Spike, Rex, okay. These are the names of all my dogs, and I want to print out all of them. Now, I could just do print my dogs, but this just puts them all in a big clump like this.
Yeah. What if you wanted to print like my dog's name is that, and then over and over, right?
My dog's name is Fluffy. My dog's name is Noodle. Then we can use this in conjunction with what you learned about last week, which is for loops. So I believe what you would have done last week is for I in range some number, whatever. Then do this. However, if we want it to be exactly the length of this list, we can do for I in range length of my dogs. Now I will go 0. Here, let me just put this in here right real quick. So now if I run this, over the first iteration of the for loop, I will be 0, and it'll do this. And then it'll become 1, and it'll take the second of my dog. And then it'll become 2. I'll take this one. And it'll stop just before it hits the length of the list. And this is a pretty effective way of doing it. And it works, as you can see. My dog's name is all of these dogs. However, in Python, there's a slightly easier way to do it. If you just want to go over each of these items. Here, let me comment this out so you can still see it. The easier way to do it is for, I'll give it slightly more descriptive of a name, dog, in my dogs, print Python does a lot of things for you automatically as a programmer. And one of the things it does is lets you iterate over a list quite easily like this. So this will do exactly the same thing. It'll go through each dog in my dogs, and this temporary variable dog will get the value of whatever dog is next. So first it'll be Fluffy, Noodle, Spike, so on. And it works exactly the same way. So we can do that. I guess I'll do maybe 2 more examples. And then, okay, yeah, let's do another example.
I can offer an example. Let me think. I want to find a way to like incorporate some other stuff we've learned into it.
I was going to be doing input with averages.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Okay, cool. You can do that.
It's a nice example.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to delete this now. Okay, so let's find a more practical thing. So let's say we want to take the average of 4 different numbers, but our program doesn't know what numbers those are yet. We want to take them in from the user. Well, first we'll need a list to store the 4 numbers in. So we'll say something like numbers, and then I'm going to make it an empty list. I don't know what any of my numbers are right now, so I'm not going to give any of them. Numbers is just an empty list. And then I'll say for I in range 4. Now this means I want to do this 4 times. I want to ask the user for a number and add it to the numbers array. So I can do that by saying, remember from earlier, function.append will add to the end of a list. So I can do numbers, numbers.append input.
Would it be easier if you made a variable for it just so people can see it more clearly?
Sure, I suppose I can do that. I'll say something like
just like user number
equals
or that
input, and then I'm going to append the number. And just so you know, this is the same. I can do this in 1 line.
Yeah.
No need for the extra number, but I'll do it to be a bit more clear.
Oh, and also in the input, can you add like a question that says like enter a number or like enter your grade, whatever? Just yeah. Cool.
Okay, so then I'm gonna print it out. Okay, so I am. Let's say I'm doing very well in my tests. I get 98, 95, 99.
And then okay, sure. I want to say do like 30 or something. Just for fun.
So what this has done is it's done exactly what I told it to do, as programming languages are good at doing. It took 4 inputs and added them all to the list. Then all I need to do now is find. This is kind of a bad way to do it, isn't it? Wouldn't it be easier just?
No, it's okay.
Okay, well, whatever.
It's all right. I can be a bit redundant.
I'll do it this way. So then we'll say, this is not useful to us. I want to find my average. I don't care about each of these numbers. I already gave you each of these numbers. So average is sum divided by number. So I can do, I think I can do sum of numbers. This is the same kind of built-in function as length of numbers. What this one will do is we'll just add them all together. And then I'm going average is equal to sum of numbers divided by length of numbers. Whoa. And then print average. Now, I'll let you in on a little secret. This is not going to work. And does anybody remember from, what was it, like the very first lesson or something like that? Second, maybe? Why this won't work?
I'll give you a hint. It's something to do with types, more specifically
nice.
integers and floats.
So these are strings. And you can see down here, they've got quotes around them. So I can just fix that real quick by doing int input. Okay, let's give this a try. Wait, let me.
Oh, now I have to re-enter them.
Yeah. So I'll just make up some new numbers. 90, 86, 99, and 34. My average is 77.25.
Yay!
Nice. So this is a little bit more practical, you could say. And it shows off some of the features of lists.
Mm-hmm. And lists, might I add, lists can be all integers, they can be all strings, they can be whatever, but just make sure that it's fit with what you're trying to do with these.
Yeah, so I can make a list like or stuff.
Stuff. Very specific.
Basketball. 13.
I don't know. Dog.
The function str. And
false.
And false. There we go. Nice. And this is a valid list. Wait, no, it's not.
Capitalize it.
There we go. And this is a valid list. Python lists can hold any type and a mixture of types.
It's just a little.
That it works.
I just think it's a little inefficient depending on what you're trying to do with it. But yeah, you can. That's totally valid. You can do that if you want.
Nice. Okay, I think I will do one more example. Michelle, do you have an idea for an example? And then I have one more thing I want to talk about after that.
Okay. Let's say you have.
A function is just a kind of. Well, technically this is a type, I believe. It would be more accurate if I were to do something like len. But you can put anything in a list. This is a built-in function length. This was a class string. We're going to be talking more about functions and classes later, but they are all objects that can be put in lists.
Let's give an example of how you can use a while loop during an array. So let's say you have an array of numbers, like random numbers, like 3, 4, 5, 1, etc. But once the numbers in the list add up to something greater than 10, you stop the array. Something like that. Sure.
So I guess I'll show how to do that.
You can give a preset one, or you can make the user input them. It doesn't really matter. Let's make the user input them. Let's be interesting.
Fair enough.
Oh, it would have to be input instead of print.
No. I know.
Oh, no, that works too.
Have you talked about new lines yet?
I don't remember, but
this is just a special character that tells the terminal down here to make a blank, like a new line.
Yep,
so it'll be 2 new lines. It'll be a bit of a space. So I'm going to loop 5 times. Oh wait, let me make a list first. So, actually that's here. I'll do it this way. And then I'll do numbers.append
you set the variable for numbers in the for loop, wouldn't it reset every time?
Oh, I was okay. Yes,
Oh,
that's true.
Is
But
that okay? Was that your point?
yeah, I was doing that on purpose. But
Oh, okay, never mind.
yeah,
We can
if
do that if you
you
want.
do that, each time the for loop runs, it'll be a brand new list, and that's what I was gonna try to show.
Oh, oops. Well, now you know.
So I'm just appending to the list the int input given the prompt number, and I'm doing that 5 times. And then I'm going to loop while running sum is equal to 0. So this is going to keep track of the sum of them as I go. And then I'll do while.
You'd have to do a.
kind of-
I think
Yeah,
you have to do a.
I can use an index, like that's fine.
Mhm.
So this is just I'm going to use this variable called index, which is just going to keep track of where I am in the list. While running sum is less than 10, and index is less than length of. So here I've got a 2-part Boolean statement. I'm checking to make sure that we haven't gotten to 10 yet in the running sum, and I'm making sure that I'm not going to exceed the length of the list with my index. So if either of these things happen, I'm going to stop looping.
Yeah, so that prevents a forever loop, because if the running sum never actually adds up to 10, then you have that one thing that will stop the loop and doesn't keep your computer from running forever.
Running sum plus I'll do that. Okay, plus equals numbers index. And then is there plus plus? No.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
Okay, so wait. Thank you, VS Code. So each time I'm going to add the number at that index, and then I'm going to make the index larger. So I'm starting at 0 because I want to start at the first number, and I don't know what any of these numbers are. The program has no clue. And then I will print, or I guess what I'll do, I'll print running sum at each iteration, and I'll just give this a try. Enter 5 numbers. I'm sick of making up numbers. Can I get some help in the chat?
Just put a random number in the lesson room. Smaller than 10.
Preferably between 1 and 10.
Yes. Please. Anybody. Super easy. Just look at your keyboard and press a random number.
Get some community involvement.
I'll do it here. I started.
Oh, there we go. We got some.
Alright. Someone did 9. Okay.
9, 2, 5, and I'll make up one. 37. What?
Oh no, you clicked enter accidentally.
Oh, whoops. Let's try that again.
Alright.
So what happened there is it tried to turn a space into an integer and it failed. Okay, let me just do this again. Why aren't you running? Hello? Oh, here we go.
Oh.
It worked. Okay, 3, 9, 2, 5, 37. So it got up to 3, got up to 12, and then it stopped. There we go.
Yay!
So,
that program's kind of useless, but it kind of showed how you can use arrays.
So there's one more thing that I want to talk about, which I really like. If any of you know what coding golf is, it's basically when you try to make a program that completes a task in one line of code. You get one line of code. And in other variations, it's just the least number of characters in your code, but I prefer the one line of code. And Python is really handy for those kinds of challenges because of something called list comprehension, which is really fancy, and I will talk about it a little bit. So basically, it's a one-line for loop. And that's pretty much it. So I can say I'm going to make a variable x, and I want it to be a list. I want x to be the list of numbers from 0 to 10, not including 10. So normally the way that I would do this is I would say x equals an empty list, and then for I in range 10, x dot append I, and then I can print x. And this is the pretty normal way to do it. And that worked. But let's say I've only got one line to do all of this. Well, here's what I can do. I can do print, or whatever. I'll do it. Okay. X is equal to and then I'm going to put effectively the for loop inside of the list. So I can do x dot append I for I in range 10.
Ooh.
And what this will do, wait, yeah, that works. Why doesn't this work? Oh, okay, whatever. I'll just oh wait, no. I did it wrong. It's I for I in range 10. So what this will do is it'll make a list with each of the values of I in range 10. And I can run this.
Oh.
And it works. So I can change it a little bit. I can say I plus 5 for I in range 10. Oh. And now it's each of them plus 5. It's really neat. And
That is super cool.
I think I've lost my code, but in grade 11 CS, I did one of the assignments in just one line of code using like a bunch of nested list comprehensions, and it was really cool. Because watch this. I'm about to blow all of your code. I can just say this print I for I in range 10.
Ooh.
And now X is just gibberish at this point. X isn't useful. However, it served its purpose. Let me run that. See, look, it served its purpose. Print doesn't return anything. So this list doesn't have anything in it. Yet it ran print I 10 times, all the same. So I think that's really cool. That's probably my favorite part about Python.
And also just a little thing, this is obviously super cool, and you can just do it for fun, but it's also very useful, especially in coding competitions like the CCC, especially when you get to the senior levels. Speed is so important. So like you want to save as much time as you can.
Speed of execution as well as speed of writing.
Mm-hmm.
If you can write your program faster, then that's also better.
Yeah. Like this saves you just typing time. So it's super important. Super useful.
Have we got anything else? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. And I know that you guys are all kind of busy with last day of the quadrimester, so we will probably just end this right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type in the lesson room. And yeah, I'll make some.
It should work better. It should work better today. I'm doing it slightly differently. Let me go join the real quick and let them know.
All right. For your